Hi friends, this is Caitlin. Welcome back. Today we are diving straight into a sneak peek at the Sweet November Stamps new virtual retreat pack. This is the last weekend actually to order it if you want to join in on the retreat. It comes with these 3 amazing stamp sets. I'm going to be creating a card with some of these just to kind of get my toes wet before I get my official class video ready to go. This Sizzix die is not included. I just pulled this in because it's new Halloween and I love it. So just for the record, there are other things that you get in the kit, but that Sizzix die is not one of them. I will be teaching a flat shaker class as part of my course. And there are also there's like a digital option. So if you don't mind digital stamps, and you don't need physical stamps, you can also do the digital, I think, all the way up until the class starts next weekend. So the link is down in the description if you want to check it out. If not, and you just want to see some Copic coloring and die cutting to build a fun little camping scene, then still stick around because this one turned out really cute. I do have to give you a disclaimer that unfortunately the coloring of the bushes in the background got cut because my SD card filled up and turned itself off, and I did not realize. So luckily that's the only part that I'm missing, so I figured I would still share this with you. And if paying for a retreat is not an option for you right now, I also wanted to take a moment to let you guys know if you haven't seen my posts, because sometimes the algorithms don't love me when I post about it. Not sure exactly why, but I am teaching a course in August 10th through the 13th. I'll be having a course with the Card Maker Success Summit. This is my 4th summit with them, and tickets to attend the summit are absolutely free. So I will have a link down in the description below so that you can reserve your free weekend-long ticket. You get access to all of the courses for the weekend. There are like upgrade options if you want forever access and like some other stuff that you can check out once you're in there. But the main, just like general attendance ticket is totally free. The more people that get tickets, even the free ones through my link, the more likely she is to invite me back. So I will throw that out there. But also, I just want you guys to be able to take classes and learn from different people. And there's some other really amazing creators that are part of the summit every year. So yeah, I will also be using some Sweet November Stamps images for that course and the stencil version of this new moon thinlit dies that just came out. So I thought it was really kind of fitting to be able to talk to you a little bit about both of those while I work on this card. But now that that is out of the way, let's just dive into this Copic coloring and I'll get us caught up. So I went in with my normal Caucasian skin tones for both of my little Wies, my fair Wies. And I also added in some brighter yellow as a highlight on the part of their bodies that are facing toward the fire. I think this just gives a really fun glow to them and helps that fire feel more realistic, and just also gives that more of a nighttime feeling once we add the darker sky. Right in the dark, that glow would be super strong. So I don't love to do like a ton of the yellow, but I think just a little bit of that Y13 here and there really helps everything to kind of pop. I gave them matching jean shorts just for simplicity. And then I gave him a little army green shirt and I made her shirt red just because I really wanted some like solid, not primary, obviously, because green's not primary, but some just like solid, strong colors to balance out the night scene and everything else that's going to be going on in this little scene. I absolutely love how her hair turned out. I did kind of a soft brown blonde, right? Like a little ashy base for her root, a little smudge root, if you will. With the E40 markers and adding in a little bit of the I think 50 for the lightest color. I love how her hair came out. I'm definitely going to be really practicing with that color combination more because I think it really worked out well. For him, I decided to go a little bit darker just to create a little more contrast and something different. I did go in with a pretty warm brown there to give him his little highlights. And then I just went in with the BG70 for both of their wings. I grabbed my warm gray markers, my W markers, to color in these little stones. And I will bring in that yellow marker one more time to be the highlight shade there, because especially right up against the fire, the top of those stones would definitely shine really yellow. For my fire, I decided to go in with some of this like really orangey red first, just to give a little bit of dimension and start breaking up all of that texture at the bottom. Then I went in with some yellow and then grabbed like an orangier color to start blending that out, and then went back over everything with the yellow at the end. I used some really soft cream colors for my marshmallows, and then toasted up the underside where it's facing the fire. Then I grabbed a super pale marker. I have the G20 here to start mapping out those bushes and my ground. So you'll kind of see the general outline of where I'm going with that. I wanted to create kind of a V shape, something that would also be really simple to fussy cut, and that I wouldn't have to cut around my images much. I would just be able to kind of like cut into that bush, and that would become my background. So once I had that and my little ground line kind of sketched in, I went in with some deeper green markers. I went a shade lighter in the beginning just to make sure that I kind of had a base to work on. So we'll end up adding some darker greens over this. I think it's just fun to kind of like mix different greens and kind of see how everything goes. And I knew that I didn't want grass around my fire pit, so I am letting the color really fade towards the center. I didn't worry about leaving it completely clean, because when I go in with my browns to create kind of that dirt circle around it, they can overlap and it'll kind of just give a nicer blend to everything. So here's where you can see I'm starting to bring in those deeper greens. I think for a nighttime scene, it's really important that if the top edges of your sky are going to be, like the top corners of your sky are going to be really dark, that the bottom corners of your ground are also really dark. I think it just creates a really beautiful kind of vignette. And I really like how it brings everything together, right? It doesn't make a lot of sense if your nighttime sky is super dark and dramatic for your grass to just be like normal daylight grass. So that's just my opinion, but if you haven't tried that before, I definitely suggest playing with darkening those corners, those bottom edges of your ground in your night scenes, and see how you feel about the result, because I bet you're gonna like it. For the ground, I went in with my deepest brown right around and under those stones of the fire pit. Then I added some shading under my little fairwees and then started pulling all of that color out to overlap onto the green. Right, these would just be kind of where that dirt and the grass meet. Now, as you can see, all of a sudden my bushes are filled in. How I do those is I go in with my darkest shades at the bottom and start kind of scrubbing in color. And then I go like a little bit higher up and start making little C or U shapes, kind of creating that leafy texture. And then I go to my medium shade and I scrub in over all of those C's. And then I move a little bit up and draw in new U and C shapes over the white areas with the medium shade. And then I repeat that all the way up to my lightest color. And then I usually try to go back over everything a little bit with the light shade, just to make sure that everything kind of has that same general color theme going with all my different greens. So I'm going to use the negative of my moon die cut, that scrap paper that I had, just to map out for myself so that I can make this light halo around my moon with salvage patina distress oxide. I love having that halo, that glow around the moon, and I think using your negative, like the the empty space from your die cut to map it out. It just makes it so much easier than like having to hold your mask or your die like back and forth, back and forth. I don't have time or energy for that. So I think that's just a really easy little trick you can do to kind of set yourself up. I did keep putting things there to make sure that I had kind of the color intensity that I wanted. And then I did go in and add some black soot to the edges, like I said, to keep those top corners really dramatic. And my main blue color there is the Uncharted Mariner. I'm only working in oxide inks for this. I think they just, for my night skies and my moons, I like the little bit of a chalky finish that they get. This moon die is beautiful. I love the Tim Holtz moon mask stencils. They're like my favorite. I have 2 sets of them because if anything ever happens or they stop making them, I need extra. So I have 2 sets just in case. And then when I saw that the moon die came out, I was like, well, obviously I have to add that to my collection. So I made the underside darker so that those craters really stand out. I did a mix of Lost Shadow and Antique Linen on the top layer so that it has just enough warmth to it. I didn't want a yellow moon. I just wanted it to be a tiny bit warmer. And I think those 2 colors really balance each other out, so you still end up with something really nice and neutral. I'm using super, super thin foam squares on my moon to just give it the slightest hint of dimension. And then I'm using regular, like standard thick foam. This one is from Pink and Main. It's my favorite foam tape roll. So I'm adding that to the back of my scene so that that really pops off of the sky a lot. And then the moon is kind of sandwiched in the middle. So I went in with my white gel pen and I was just going to do regular dots, and I should have just trusted my instincts and stuck with that, but I decided to try to get fancy and draw stars, and I absolutely hated them. So we're going to finish the card up, and then I'm adding in a clip of me the next day adding in some confetti stars because I just can't get the hang of drawing those stars. I've seen Amy Young do it from Sweet November Stamps so many times that I've like had this idea that I could do it and I would like them, but I just don't like them when I do them. So I grabbed the Prism stars from This Calls for Confetti. You can see that's what I'm starting with. We're just going to cover over those 2 bigger stars, and I'm going to add in 2 more stars to each side. I think the little clusters of 3 just look really nice. And I like how these kind of pop and shine off of the background. It's not like this is super realistic scale wise with the moon anyway, so I just think it's really fun. I hope you guys enjoy this. I hope you're inspired to add in some die cuts into your next scene card. Definitely check out both the Sweet November Stamps Retreat as well as the Cardmaker Success Summit. Both of those links are down in the description for you, so that we can hang out and learn more stuff soon. I hope you guys have the most amazing weekend. I will see you back here soon, and until then, happy crafting.